So I know it's been a while since I've posted a video, but I think I have a pretty good excuse. I had a baby and he's 1 month old now, or just a couple days after 1 month old. And so I think he's waking up right now. I have to be quick about this. Okay. Um, so it's been a little bit difficult to film. I really wanted to film this video about what I actually used in my hospital bag for my hospital stay in Japan, because a lot of my friends have asked me, what did you actually use? I'm packing my hospital bag. What did you need? And so now I really want to do this video. So I'm just going to hop right into it. Also, excuse these two boxes here. This is my like sample box that I got from the maternity taxi service, and then a little box of formula that my husband's company gave to us that we're going to be giving away because we're lucky enough to be breastfeeding exclusively. So anyways, I just want to jump right into it. So the things that I actually used in my hospital bag, and I have a list here, so excuse me if I keep looking down. The number one thing that I was so grateful that I had were my nursing night dresses. So the ones that I showed in my previous video were from Next, and I really, really love those. They're kind of a kimono wrap style, so they're really easy access, and I found having those night dresses so helpful because I was up every hour feeding, my newborn, and you're kind of sore after the delivery. Luckily, my recovery wasn't too bad, but you're sore. You don't want to be like finagling with buttons and things. You just want to be able to open it and not worry about, having access for your baby. So I was so happy to have those two nursing night dresses. And honestly, I wish I had brought a third one because I did stay 3 days in the hospital. And so I ended up wearing one night dress after I delivered. So they basically just wiped me down and then put me in that dress. And so I wore that the first 24 hours after delivery. And then the second one I wore that following day after I was able to take a shower. But for the third day, the third night, I kind of just re-wore the one I wore after my delivery, which, I don't know, it wasn't really that dirty, but I wish I had brought three just so I had three clean ones. I also brought my maternity leggings, which I wore since it was a dress style, and that kind of kept me the perfect temperature. I could adjust the temperature in the room, so I didn't really, I could have had it warmer, but I think it was a little nicer to have it a little bit cool. So I had my maternity leggings. And I also, of course, wore my going home outfit, which was just something comfortable. My slippers I did wear in the hospital room. And also actually during labor, I wore them occasionally. So I was glad that I brought those. And flip-flops. Okay. If you are planning to be walking around in labor, I highly recommend that you bring flip-flops because in my experience, at least after they broke my water when I was about 8 centimeters, I was basically leaking amniotic fluid, and I didn't have an epidural, so I was walking around a lot trying to get the baby to move down. So I was leaking amniotic fluid quite a lot. And if I had been wearing my slippers at that point, they would have gotten ruined. So I was glad that I was wearing flip-flops that I could just wash afterward. So if you're if that's part of your birth plan to be active in labor and walking around, I would recommend bringing flip-flops. Please do that. Socks I also used after the birth in the recovery room. And also my nursing bras. I think I brought 2 nursing bras, and I did wear those underneath my nursing night dress, which actually I did wear them, but you probably don't have to wear them. I wasn't sure if I would be leaking at that point, so if I was going to be leaking, I wanted a place for my nursing pads to go, but honestly I didn't really leak, so I probably didn't need to wear a nursing bra at that point, but it was nice to have them, and I did wear them. Nipple balm or nipple cream. My nipples started to crack, I think, on the second day because he was feeding so much and we were trying to get a deep latch, but it's hard for them in the beginning. Their mouths are really small, and so oftentimes you will have kind of sore nipples. So I was applying some sort of nipple cream after every feed just to try to keep them moisturized. And eventually, after like a week and a half, that cracking went away, and I still use the nipple cream now. So it definitely was worth the investment, and I'm glad I brought it to the hospital for sure. A cup with a straw. So again, I was pretty active in labor, but there were times when I was lying down and I had like a plastic Starbucks cup with a straw, and it was just so much easier for my husband or my doula to just give me the cup than for me to have to like unscrew a water bottle and like deal with that. So I'd recommend bringing something with a straw, especially if you plan to have an epidural, because you will be lying down, and if someone's not there to like help you drink, it's just a pain. Like just bring a cup with a straw. You will thank me. Next, snacks and drinks. We brought a ton of snacks and like a couple drinks, couple sports drinks, and all of them were eaten by the end of the stay in the hospital. So if we didn't eat them in the labor and delivery room, we ended up eating them later in the recovery room. And I was really happy that we brought water, because there wasn't any machine, but you were paying like 100 yen for a tiny, like a normal size bottle of water, when at the convenience store you can get like a liter of water for that much. So we did end up bringing water, and then my mother-in-law also brought us water in the recovery room as well. So I definitely recommend bringing drinks. And there is a refrigerator in the delivery room, so you can keep your drinks cold while you're in labor, which is convenient. Next, bath towels. So I brought 2 bath towels, and I thought that was perfect amount because my husband and I both showered in the room. If you don't plan to have someone stay with you in your recovery room, then of course you only need to bring 1 towel. But I was glad we had 2. I also ended up using the bathtub during my delivery, during my labor, not my delivery. That's not allowed. So I used the towel to dry off after that too. They didn't provide a towel for that purpose at my hospital. So just be prepared that you might need a towel for that if you want to use the tub. Next, toiletries. I definitely used like the body soap, the face soap, the toothbrush and toothpaste that I brought, as did my husband. We just bought some 2 like really cheap toothbrushes that we didn't have to bring home, since we use electric toothbrushes here at home anyway, and I just didn't want to worry about forgetting it or something. So I thought that was a good idea, and we ended up just throwing it away at the end of the stay in the hospital. Next is a baby wrap. So in Japan, they don't necessarily require you to use a car seat on the way home in a taxi. So we don't have a car here in Tokyo, and we took a taxi home, and basically the nurses just recommended to carry the baby or wear the baby in a wrap and then put the seatbelt across, which is what we ended up doing. So I had the Solly baby wrap, and I used that from the time we went home from the hospital, and he loved it from the beginning, so I was lucky in that regard. Now we use that one or the Ergo Baby, which I highly recommend. I'll do another video about newborn essentials, but I recommend bringing a wrap or something if you are not bringing a car seat for on your way home from the hospital, because it does keep the baby a little more secure, even though I know it's not super safe. I was kind of freaking out about it the whole time, so but it is what it is. We made it, so bring a baby wrap. Next is a nursing pillow. So again, you're going to be nursing basically every hour, like from the time the baby is born. At least I was. My baby was not a super sleepy baby like some newborns are. He really wanted to be up and nursing. There was maybe like a period of 12 hours where he really slept a lot out of 3 days in the hospital, and then the rest of the time he was really awake and wanting to nurse. So I basically was sitting with my nursing pillow the entire time at the hospital, which was totally fine. But yeah, I recommend bringing a nursing pillow if you do plan to breastfeed, because it just gives you a little bit more comfort. And honestly, a couple times he fell asleep on the nursing pillow, and I also fell asleep, because sleep is one of those evasive things when you're in the hospital. At least for me it was. Also, for your own pillow, I brought my own personal pillow, as did my husband, because he stayed in the room with us. And I actually ended up using my pillow during delivery when I was in the bed, because the bed pillow in the delivery room was quite thin. And I was on my side pushing or getting ready to push for like an hour and a half. So I had my own pillow on the bed next to me. And I was happy that I did. Um, Granted, it did get a little bit sweaty because I was pushing, so that was, kind of gross, but whatever. So I was happy to have that in the delivery room and in the recovery room as well. So I'd recommend bringing that too. Um, I did bring a sweater that I wore maybe one time when I went to the nursery to uh, have my baby have some tests done. But otherwise, I really didn't leave my hospital room, to be honest, in the 3 days I was there. I think I left it twice to go to the nursery, and so for those times I wore the sweater, but that was pretty much it. Um, I also used my headband when I was washing my face, and we did use a muslin blanket. I felt like the blankets and little baby clothes that they give you in the hospital here in Japan, at least at my hospital, they really kind of felt like towels to me. They weren't super soft and they were kind of heavy weight. So I felt like he was getting a little bit hot at times. And it was just a little bit difficult to deal with. So I ended up kind of just using that as a pad in the bassinet and then putting like a muslin swaddle blanket on top of him to just as like a little bit softer blanket. And that seemed to work fine. We didn't swaddle him in the hospital, which is something that I now am thinking I should have done that would have helped him sleep a lot more. And we just didn't do it because I wasn't very confident swaddling. This was my first baby, of course. And the midwives and nurses didn't really swaddle the babies in general. So I didn't really feel comfortable taking the baby out of the hospital clothes and using my own swaddles and clothes. But I think for the next baby, I probably will bring swaddles with me. If not just using the muslin blankets, but maybe like a Velcro swaddle or something, just to help them sleep, because I think he could have slept a lot better if I had been able to swaddle him in the hospital. So, if you're comfortable swaddling or you want to try that, I would definitely recommend bringing a swaddle with you, because they do not provide swaddles in the hospital or even blankets that you can swaddle with. So just be aware of that. And lastly, going home outfit for baby, I brought just like a simple sleeper and some socks and a little hat. It wasn't super cold, so I wasn't too worried about having too many layers. Plus, I was baby wearing on our way home, so he had that extra body heat. And we did bring a soft blanket as well, which I think we used maybe one time when it got a little bit colder. And lastly, the large underwear. So maybe I think I wore one pair of the underwear, but they ended up giving me some underwear that was actually the Velcro type, so they could pull the Velcro down and check how my stitches were healing and that kind of thing. So I ended up wearing those, I think 2 out of the 3 days. And I only wore one pair of the other underwear, so you don't really need that much underwear. They will give you underwear at the hospital. So now on to just a few things that I did not use. So you might use these things, but these are things I packed and thought I would use, but I didn't end up using them. And the first thing is my music and my speaker. So I thought we would use this in the delivery room, but we ended up not playing any music. I even made a birth playlist and we ended up not using it. Shogunai, as they say, it can't be helped. I was just a little too distracted during labor and I didn't really feel the need to have music. So we didn't end up using that. And also, we did play some music in the recovery room, but it was loud enough just to play it from my husband's phone. We didn't really need an actual speaker. So if you're trying to save space, you don't really need a speaker if you have a phone that can play the music out of it, which most smartphones can. Secondly, I brought a lot of extra clothes for me and for the baby. And I thought I would be changing my clothes from my night clothes to my day clothes. But I ended up not really doing that. I think because I didn't really leave my hospital room for the 3 days that I was there. I was, like I said before, pretty much nursing every hour. So I didn't change my clothes into daytime clothes or anything. So I could have just brought my 2 or 3 nursing night dresses and been fine. I didn't really need extra clothes. Um, and also for baby, like I said, we just kept him in the we just kept him in the clothes that the hospital provided, the kind of towel-like kimono clothes. And so we didn't use the extra clothes that we brought, but I was glad that we had both newborn size and 0 to 3 month size because we didn't know how big he would be when he was born. And he did fit into newborn size, and he was born at 3,474 grams, and that's about 7 pounds, 10 ounces. So he wasn't super small, but he did fit into newborn size, and he fit into newborn size for about the first 2 weeks. So I think you're pretty safe with newborn size, but if you're concerned you're going to have a big baby, of course, bring something in 0 to 3 month size. Next were my own personal pads and also nursing pads. So like I said before, I wasn't leaking yet in the hospital, so I am now, so I do use nursing pads, but in the hospital I didn't really need them. But I think it's good to bring some just in case, although I'm sure if you ask, the hospital probably could give you some. Also, my own personal pads for, the bleeding and whatnot, I didn't use those. The hospital does give you pads, and I'll talk about what they gave me in just a second. And next is makeup. So I thought I would be, like I said before, out of my room, talking to people, hanging out. But I totally wasn't. I stayed in my room. I hung out with my husband and I guess my baby the entire time, and I did not put on makeup. So I thought I would. I thought I'd want to, even for our going home pictures, but I didn't. I was more concerned about just, getting the baby ready, and I didn't end up using makeup. So I was glad I brought it because there was a possibility I would want it. But because we were only in the hospital for 3 days, which by American standards sounds like a long time, but I really didn't want to wear makeup at that time. So maybe you will, but I didn't. That's about it for what I didn't use. And now I just want to let you know what they actually gave me in the hospital for baby and for me. So when we got to the recovery room, we got this kind of big bag, and it had several things in it. So first were 2 packs of both large, medium, and small size pads. So the large size pads are really quite large. They're this giant kind of rectangle, and they're the same ones that I was wearing after they broke my water when I was leaking amniotic fluid. So these are quite large, and they're really, really helpful when you're bleeding a lot. And I was bleeding a lot, so this was helpful for me. And there's also medium and small. So I think by the time now I'm about 4 weeks postpartum, and I would say I'm now in the small range. So I at least used all of the pads that they gave me at the hospital, and have also bought a few packs myself. So they also give you a peri bottle, which looks like this. It's basically a little squirt bottle that you can fill with water and use to help clean your area as you're recovering. And so I found this really helpful in the hospital and also at home. But if you have a Japanese toilet, they do have the bidet function, which is also helpful for just wetting the area, so you're not just using toilet paper on a sensitive area. So that was nice, and I could take that home with me as well. And then they also gave me 2, like I mentioned before, 2 Velcro underwear. So this is the large size, and I would say in Japan I am the large size, but this is the biggest size that they had. So I would say Yeah, they only had large size, I think. They didn't have LL size, even though it says on the back of this that there is LL size available. This was the biggest size they had in the hospital. So, and I would say it barely fit me. And again, I'm like 183 centimeters, 6'1", and after birth, probably like 170 pounds. Um, so this barely fit me. So if you're bigger than me or you have like kind of wide hips, I would recommend bringing your own underwear because these, and not relying on these, because I don't know if they're going to be a comfortable size for you, especially after giving birth. You don't want something super tight. So here, I'll show you what they look like out of the pack. Very flattering. And so again, after birth, these were quite tight on me even. So you might want to bring your own underwear just in case those ones are not comfortable to you. And they also give you a little newborn hat. So we didn't really have him wear a hat very often because I felt like he was pretty warm, but they do give you a newborn hat. And they also give you 1 pack of newborn size diapers, and the brand they use is Pampers, and also 1 pack of wipes. So I forget what the brand is that the wipes are, but I actually really liked them, and I can say that by the time we got home from the hospital, probably for that first week, maybe the first few days, so within, yeah, probably for the first few days, we still were using the 1 pack of diapers from the hospital and the 1 pack of wipes. So they are pretty useful, and you get definitely at least 5 or 6 days use out of them before you have to buy more diapers. So that's what they gave me at the hospital, and overall I felt like I had everything that I needed, and there wasn't too much that I brought that I didn't use. I had considered bringing my exercise ball, and I ended up not bringing that because it just was too much stuff to carry. And I'm glad that I didn't, because I was the only person in the entire labor and delivery floor when I was in labor. So I had access to the delivery balls and the active chair, not the delivery balls, to the exercise balls and the active chair, and it ended up being fine. So, just bring what you're comfortable bringing. That's my recommendation, and it's better to be more prepared than less. But definitely my number one thing is bring flip-flops, number one, and also bring nursing nightwear that is really easy access for you, because you don't want to be dealing with any sort of buttons or shirts or anything when you're just trying to nurse your baby and figure out breastfeeding, and you're doing that pretty frequently. So those are my 2 recommendations. Oh, and also nipple balm. Bring nipple balm. Do yourself the favor. Do it. Okay? So I think that's about it. Thanks for watching this video, and hopefully it was helpful if you're giving birth anywhere in the world, but especially in Japan. And if you're pregnant, good luck. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.